When we think about the past and which elements of it to value and retain and which to discard in the memory hole, what will go where? Recently, there's been a bit of a conflict over the fate of a dam in Greenfield, named for the factory that existed there and built it long ago. Conservationists want to see the Wiley Russell Dam removed. Let the Green River flow free again, they say, reminding us of a pre-Columbian Massachusetts devoid of the unnatural, before the river was rerouted for I-91, without a decapitated mountaintop or an inconvenienced fish. The historical preservationists lash back at the environmentalists. A dam has anchored the spot since 1836, they contend. Neither side is incorrect, technically. The environs both harken back to indeed existed and are indeed valuable recollections, at least for those of us who would bother to do such a thing. But here's what interests me about conflicts like this. They make us notice places we've driven past 1,000 times. This dam powered a company established in 1872 that hasn't existed for many years, and the dam is even older than that. Wiley made thread cutting tools, which I knew little about before researching this film. But that's the thing about history in a place like this. Layers upon layers of stories that nobody thinks about anymore, but I do. And yet there's still so much I still don't know. Being something of an urbanist living in a rural area, my identity can be sort of a source of conflict. Who cares about zoning, land use, density, and mass transit in a land of sprawling farms and houses separated by thick forest? I do, but does anyone else? To explain the conflict, it's not entirely dissimilar to the existence of a socialist in the home of the Red Scare. Meaning, of course, this country, including this area, if you peruse the historical record. But the most interesting and often obscure history layers a rural environment like ours with a depth usually associated with more densely inhabited places. So, I don't feel entirely wasted on the place I grew up. The difference between urban and rural has been an undeniably pronounced distinction for thousands of years. But there was a relatively brief era where that line was arguably much blurrier, an era recent enough that there are some still alive who remember it. I had known several, but none of them are around anymore. The rapid obliteration of most rail transit and carification, motorization of the area, culminating in the construction of this highway, Interstate 91, sharpened that blur to a razor's edge when it carved its asphalt trench through here. Many of the original winding roads between our towns were severed. Through streets dead-ended, communities split, pristine environments paved over, and devouring what was left of the original railroad to Turner's Falls. If you look at the T intersection at the end of Silver Street, where it intersects with Conway and Greenfield, on an assessor's map, you might notice there is an odd teardrop-shaped land parcel in the center of that intersection, just past the median. There had originally been a church there, and that parcel is what is left of it. Between that church and I-91 was Nash's Mill Pond, before the interstate, which offered the best and only ice skating in Greenfield until it was drained and raised for highway purposes. The state's original offer to the town of Greenfield in exchange for the pond was $325. They rejected that, but ultimately settled on some figure, one which likely helped fund the swimming area in the Green River that exists today. Cherry Rum Brook, the source of Nash's Mill Pond, still runs, but Nash's Mill Pond today is merely another marshy trench just over the guardrail on the interstate. They are gone now, leaving only traces for the obsessive who might think to look. And usually not even that, but I could certainly tell anyone who cared to ask exactly where to look. Down in the riverbanks of Deerfield, for instance, where you can still see the trolley bridge pilings from old photographs. The building right between the two railroad bridges could be the trolley station. I believe it is, but I haven't confirmed that for sure.